Welcome to the Kingdom Man podcast, where we discuss some of the hard topics facing men with a Christian perspective. I am your host, James Russell, and it is good to be back with you. Now, today is probably going to be a very brief discussion, topic, talking, soliloquy, if you wish, where I just want to give you a kick in the butt. At this time of year, a lot of people get motivation, and if you're listening to this later, you probably can figure out that this is the beginning of 2024, for the record. And so many people have started off this year with these ambitious goals, ready to do something. And in fact, at this point, I believe today is the 21st, which means so many of those who have started to train and lose weight have already stopped. And maybe you are one of those men. So let's talk about something that maybe will get you back on track. It's something that you don't really want to hear, but you want to embody to your very core. And that's the idea of never giving up. Never give up. You can stop. You can slow. You can walk. You can crawl. But you can't give up. There are too many people who are counting on you. And you may be down in the dumps. You may feel worse than you ever have in your life. But I'm telling you, you can't give up. You're not a winner based on what your bank account says. And you're not a loser based on what your bank account says. It's what your heart says. Do you have quit in your heart? We have to lose our infatuation with the idea of perfection, because perfection doesn't exist. And in fact, in the scripture, when we see the word perfect, it doesn't mean perfect, it means mature. Someone who has come of age and has the wisdom to approach life. That is the scriptural idea of what perfection is. Not someone who has never made a mistake and will never make a mistake. It's the person who realizes when they've made a mistake and make the appropriate actions to prevent that from ever happening again. You're not a loser because you've lost. Quitters are the losers because they gave up. Men, look at yourself in the mirror. If you're not happy about who stands in front of you, then maybe it's time for you to stop giving up on that. If you've got no respect for the man in the mirror, then no one is really going to have respect for you either. Men, be someone who is respectable, who is honorable, who lives life according to his values, according to his convictions. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to get it all right the first time. But what you are going to do is learn. And you may learn 1,000 different ways of how not to build a light bulb. But maybe eventually you'll build a light bulb. In case you don't know, that's a ripoff of a quote by Thomas Edison. You know, the guy who built the light bulb. Be a man of determination, of drive. A man who knows his limits and then built himself to be stronger than those limits were. When I say drive, I immediately think of a negative connotation, and maybe you do too, because there's a lot of people who sacrifice everything that they have, their friends, their family. They sacrifice them on the altar of ambition and drive. They'll throw anything on the fire so that they can be successful. And that's not what I'm talking about, men. I'm talking about men who will sacrifice themselves for their family, who will give every last thing that they have so that they can see the next generation be a better place. Someone who has something more to offer than what he takes. That is what a wealthy man looks like. That is what a rich man looks like. The only thing that's stopping you is you. So look at that man in the mirror and get some guts. Look at that man in the mirror and refuse to be satisfied. You can be content without being satisfied. Satisfied means I don't need anything else. Content means I'm happy with what I have. Do you see the difference? Some people get to a position and they are satisfied and they never move forward for the rest of their lives. They're satisfied. But a content man says, I know what I've done so far has got me this far, and I'm happy that it's got me here. I'm content. But I know there's more. I'm not satisfied. I can deal with this, but this is not going to be the end. There's more. There's more in me that I need to make manifest in the world around me. And I refuse to stop. I refuse to quit. I have more. This reminds me of a meme I saw on Instagram, I believe. And it went something like the top picture or something like, and instead of saying, it is what it is, a man should say something along the lines of, even though evil persists, so do I. Just because it hasn't been easy and I haven't got it conquered doesn't mean I'm done. And it may keep coming at me, but I'm going to keep coming at it. I will persist. I'm not giving up. I'm not backing down. So that's my inspirational message, if you will. That's your kick in the pants. Men never give up. Never back down. Persist in the face of the enemy. And conquer like you were built to do all along. From the time we were small, stick fighting like we had swords and then turning those sticks into guns, we fought because we knew as men we are fighters. And even though we may not use swords or guns, we have an enemy. And sometimes that enemy looks at us in the mirror. We have to refuse to be complacent. We must persist.